Yeah, so this, it doesn't get hot. Yeah, so this is the little testing console that I find enormously valuable in API.ai. First off, API.ai is free. You can use it for any number of queries if you want. Official support, you know, where you can pick up the phone and somebody will get out of bed at Google. We can talk about the pricing for that. But if you just want to use it for almost any number of queries, you can do that. So you just type in or speak what the user says, and then you'll see here what the response is, and then really interesting what the intent is. That's what we've matched that as, and that's really the thing to watch here. So I might say something like, yeah, when is the Android session? So I say, when is the Android session? It's going to go through all these intents and try to find one that matches. So if this is the default response, but the intent is find by topic. So find by topic. So that's the one it thought matched. And we can see why if we go to find, whoops, I did the wrong one. If we go to find by topic, yep, up. So we've given, I just came up like, what are the typical things? Actually, I think there were only 2 examples in here, and then we launched it, and I'll show you the training thing in a minute. We added a bunch more. But notice all these phrases, and then what's highlighted here are the entities. Like that's the parameters that we pull out of there. And so you can look at the entities here. So the entity we have here is topic. So we pulled these from the database, and you give the canonical version on the left side, like that's the thing we're going to return to your webhook. And then what are aliases? What are other ways people say that thing? So, for the machine learning topic, people might say machine learning. They might also say deep learning, neural network, TensorFlow. They might say it in a lot of different ways. And real world models like this have a lot of aliases and a lot of entities, if that makes sense. Okay. But let's say, I think the most important thing people might ask is, where to get a drink. So let's see what that does.
Yes.
So when I say where to get a drink, it actually goes to the help intent. And it does, read the response. It's kind of not actually a very good response for where can I get a drink. I mean, if you had a chance to go to Google I/O, there's a great party that you should go to. So in this case, we're missing an intent. There's a thing users are trying to say that we don't have an answer. So let's go and add an intent. So we'll just click here.
Would you zoom in a little?
Can I?
Command plus.
So we'll call it party, and then we can say, where can I get a drink? Where's the bar? Where's the bar? Is there a party? I mean, we could probably go all day, right? You can come up with several things. And then what I really like here is you can just give, if it's something like where's the party, you probably don't have to look that up in a database. You can just give an answer. Friday at 9 p.m. See you there. And this is where looking up the dialogue pattern, I'm writing dialogue off the top of my head, I should really look at the thing. Or I can give another one, please.
Please take Uber.
So the idea is you should give a few, and then as we talked about earlier, it'll round robin through those. So if I save that, and then it's retraining the model, and then I can say, where do I get a drink? And this time notice it matched our party intent and it's giving us a good answer. I might also say, when is the, and I really don't know if this is going to work. Okay, it doesn't quite get it. So I can add this one. And now, when is the party will work. And I can do simple things like when is the party, please. Please may I know when the party is. And it'll get that too. So there's some basic heuristics and some machine learning that's going on. The more examples you give, the better accuracy it will be. But you can see that, you know, we're going to miss some, right? And so I encourage you to go check out training. So here you can go click and see everything users have said and what intent that got mapped to. And so here you can come in and actually customize it, change it. We can show the ones that didn't match, and you can go ahead and make it work well.
I haven't trained to catch it all the week, so
Okay.
I got it wrong.
Okay.
But I was nice meeting you.
Good to meet you too.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll try to catch on to dinner. Thank
Okay.
you all. Good to see you.
I will speed through because I'm sure other people need to roll. Okay, so that's your basic demo. Any questions? Yeah.
Is there a way to trigger this conversation using email?
Using email?
Sending email and then all that?
Yes. So so this talk generally is about the Google Assistant, and you can't use the Google Assistant via email, but API to AI, it just exposes a REST API. So you just pass in a phrase and it'll return back the intent or run your webhook or whatever. So you can integrate it into any, it's got integrations for Facebook, Slack, and then you can integrate it with any kind of system you want. Yeah.
Could you please show an example of how do you tie an expression with an entity? Like for example, give me reviews about Domino's Pizza and being Domino's Pizza the entity? A restaurant entity?
Oh, a restaurant entity or a speech?
So how do you configure it to respond to something like, give me the reviews of the pizza place next door, like, but I am sending the pizza place name, let's say Avicino. How does it distinguish between like a business name or like a person name from the rest of the query?
How does the Google Assistant do that, or how can you do that in
How do you configure it here? Like,
yeah, so I think what you're saying is if you had entities that maybe had the same name in multiple entities, how would it know which entity to map to? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so so here it's a very simplistic example, it's just one entity, but you could have multiple entities, and then when you do the intents, let's see if this one does it. Notice we're highlighting this and we're saying this is a particular entity. It's top. I could have said this is an airport, this is whatever. And then the user expression, so basically the user expressions need to be unique. What the user says.
I'm not sure I'm satisfied with that answer.
Okay.
Maybe I just didn't understand. It's late, but what I understood him to ask, and my question is, if it's not a famous brand, how do you distinguish between a possessive that is a name or a possessive that is a business? Like, let's go get John's Pizza.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not Domino's and John's is not.
Yeah, so some of them, if it's more free, like if you're doing like a direction binding thing, they can say anything.
Right.
You can have a parameter that's just any, and then the ML model won't be great for it. It'll match anything.
Right.
And then you in your fulfillment will have to distinguish it. And you can distinguish that the same way we do in the real Google Assistant, which is what we do is we look it up. So we say, okay, what could it be? Is it a name in the address book? No. Is it a business name? Okay, we call the Geo APIs and look for the business name. Is it
Is it my friend John?
Is it my friend? Yeah, and so you can know some of it from it. It's best if you can constrain your dialogue so it's not super ambiguous, like which one of your friends should I call? John. Okay, right, so I know that doesn't mean John the bathroom, it means John this person. Right? So my first approach would be to have a more constrained dialogue. Yeah?
How many people are not using APIs?
Well, like I said, there's 80% are, so 20% are rolling their own or using one of the others. Yeah.
Coming to the same example, getting the default fallback option.
it doesn't match any of the categories or anyways, default fallback will last now.
Yeah, so there's default fallback, and where you can basically clarify, ask questions, and try to get it to match.
If the pizza whatever I say it doesn't match any of the entities, you can go back to the default pizza, probably Domino's or Papa John's, you can pick it up. Can you define that? Like, it will work. The default fallback, it doesn't match any of the entities. So, can I do the default fallback?
I think I understand what you're saying. There's two things. Like there's the entity, the intent matching, in which case it would go to like a global fallback.
Right.
But if you know they're looking for a business and you're in one, it's like, okay, what is the business name here? And it's not matching one of your predefined ones, we'll ask them again. We'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. You know.
So within the entity, is it possible to define a default entity list? Is it possible? Like, now I can define the entities, like in pizza I have like 4 options. If it doesn't match any of the entities, can I put a subclass in the default entity? There's no another answer for the user.
Yes, I think so, but
I
we
haven't
should
tried it.
follow.
I used it in test. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, we should follow up after. Okay.
Wasn't the any being deprecated? I believe the any.
But there's another way to do system text. Like
Okay.
I think it's systext or something.
In regards to the constraint thing, too, talk about finding the context to eliminate
Right.
crossover. So if you're ordering food, you say, I want to order some food, and John's going to be triggered from that. That'd be-
Exactly. So we don't have time to get it
Yeah, I
all
got it,
into
yeah.
context because it's super complex. But
So kind of
yes,
narrow
you
it
can
down.
actually narrow it down.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean too. Like I would actually think about that question when you're doing the design rather than when you're doing the implementation, because the dialogue. Like if you ask open-ended questions, like it gets really confusing for the user.
And every
It's much
conversation
better
has
to
a
ask.
context. Every conversation has a small context. It may shift and get more narrow, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Ready? No.
Are you taking more?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey man, so you guys time.
Just so you go with your example of topics, you had databases as a topic.
Yeah.
A very specific database like Sparkle or something.
Right.
Have you guys seen any feedback on splitting out all those aliases into their own category or keeping them
Well,
bunched
the only
up
thing
together?
we can
other
certainly
benefits?
split them out. It's just for your convenience building the webhook that you don't have to. So those are like the names of the topics from the database.
So the open-ended entity detection, kind of what everyone's hinting at,
Right.
it's not going to benefit based on you have 10 different topics with 10 different aliases each, or 100 topics total. The entity detection will be the same.
Yeah. I mean, the fewer entities you have, the it can be more precise.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Before there was the Google Assistant, there was Google Now, where you could set on an Android phone, say, okay, Google, search for blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
on my app.
Yeah.
And so Google there did the recognition, but not the understanding.
Yeah.
If I have one of those things, and naively I'm trying to search work, can I get the entire text and do my own understanding with the text?
Yeah, so we give you the full text. We give you the full text of what the user said. Yep, so you can do your own. Yeah.
You may be discussing this in Discovery, but is this a global system? Are all of these things in the same space? Or like apps, you got to get somebody's particular app to use it?
Yeah, so it's great. You don't have to install Assistant apps. Users don't have to install them. They're all in a global namespace. So all, just to go with our globalization theme here, all English apps are in one namespace, and all French apps will be in another namespace.
So that when there are a gazillion of these things,
Yeah.
somebody goes into Google and they could be getting any one of the gazillion of them that are there.
Right. And they, like I said, it's just like web pages. There's a unique URL for every web page on the plan. There are billions, so I assert that system scales. But what's great about web pages is nobody who uses shortcuts anymore, like bookmarks. Bookmarks used to be a thing. People don't use bookmarks anymore because you just go to Google search and type something and it gives you the right thing. So the importance of domain names and bookmarks has diminished over time. It peaked and then it diminished. I think that we're going to see the same thing with invocation names. Like right now, invocation names is the primary way people find these things. But over time, just to foreshadow with the discovery, there'll be other ways people find them that will become more important. And then your invocation name will become irrelevant because nobody's going to ever say that. Okay, with that, I'm going to press on and come back to questions.
While he's logging in, I wanted to quickly answer your question about default entities. One way that you can implement that is you can have different priority intents that are addressing the same thing. One of which has the specific domain, the other one has anything. And that second one can say, well, I'm not sure I understood. It sounded like you said this garbled word. Maybe you could try again. Here are some things that I know about. Kind of steer them off into the right direction again.
This is the follow-up.
It's not as a follow-up, as a follow, as another entity, but with a lower priority. And we can talk about details later.
Okay, I'm going to keep running here. So I just want to show you a quick thing of what fulfillment looks like, just so you get the basic idea. So as I mentioned, we have a node module. You can just install that, and then you just say something like app.ask, and you put a string together, and that gives a prompt to the user. And what ask means is I'm asking a question. So especially in terms of policy, I encourage you to make sure you're actually asking a question. And what that does is leave the mic open, and the user can respond to that, and then you get called back, if that makes any sense. Or you can do an app.tell, in which case that means you're done. Like, just spew this and then close the mic, and I'm gone. I'm done after that. Okay, so that's, again, just the super high level of how this works. And then we have, I think, a nice web simulator that helps you get a sense for what's going on. Notice at the top you can change the surface from a phone surface to a Google Home surface. There'll be other surfaces, and then you get a sense for what the structure of the JSON that's going back and forth looks like, and you can interact with it. And then, so I showed you the static responses. You can also just right from here, without even doing a webhook, do suggestion chips and whatnot, which I encourage you to go do. You can also do those programmatically if you want to, but sometimes it's like a static list of them that you can just put in. Okay, and then that's how you do it programmatically. Okay, so I foreshadowed enough on discovery. Let's talk about that. So this is the basic way. Let's talk to Food Network, and then you can kind of flow through that. That's the basic experience that we've talked about. But let's talk about some other discovery models. So one is in dialogue. So again, this is what we've been discussing, is the canonical URL version up here. And then here's the URL version that's with a deep link, like it's a URL with parameters. So you can say, okay, Google, ask Google I/O about what was announced today. And we will look you, it's your domain, that's the app name, and then we also pass you this text. So it just can fall right to a given intent. And that can really help users get at an answer much faster. And I observed that where the assistant does better is where it's faster than using an app or using a web page. So like helping users get there quicker is really important. We also have these implicit queries, like the user might just say, hey Google, I want to work out, or I want to play a game, or I want to surf report. And there may be multiple games for the assistant. There may be multiple apps that give a surf report. There may be so the general model is you get to register for these queries as well. Like say, hey, I'd be good for I want to play a game, or I'd be good for I want to work out. And Google takes everybody who has said, I'd be good for I want to work out, and does a ranking on them and determines which one is best for this user at this time, and recommends that one to the user. Sometimes we recommend more than one. Do you want this one? Do you want that one? So that's kind of the in-dialogue discovery part of this. The other thing you should definitely be aware too is that like the games is a great example. Even if you don't say, I can respond to I want a game, we'll send that query to you anyway if you're just in the games category. So we take everything we know about your app. We look at the listing you've given us for the directory and try to determine what your app does. We look at logs from how users are interacting with your app to try to determine what your app does. And we look at where you've registered for these expressions to try to determine what your app does and give you that traffic. Yeah.
If you refresh your app, what do you do with the log? You still use the older logs?
What do you mean refresh the app? Oh, submit a new version?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we don't have, it's a very interesting point. We don't actually take that into account today. So we take temporality into account. Like your app used to be, let's use a positive there, used to suck, now it's getting a lot better. I'm sure that would be the case. Like we take that into account, so temporality, but we don't take into account there's a new version. I don't know, maybe we should. We're experimenting a lot with, like we have a really mature model for what makes a good web page. How do we know if the user's having a good experience?